Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. Previously, when he looked at the information of the two hero skills, Unparalleled Ghost God and Ghost God Military Morale, it mentioned the hero, Ghost God General. At that time, he thought that the Hero Inheritance secret manual that dropped this time was probably the Hero Inheritance of the Ghost God General. Looking at it now, it was indeed it. Who should I give this Ghost God General's Hero Inheritance to? Zhou Zhou pondered. Among his subordinates, Bai Yun, Wu Xian, Feng Luo, and Nazario already had their own hero inheritance. Even though Maris could accept this hero inheritance, it was a divine kingdom soldier type to begin with. Moreover, its offensive methods were all soul attacks. It did not match the close combat method of the Ghost God General. Auguste needed the dragon hero inheritance as a spectral dragon. It could not accept the hero inheritance of this Ghost God General. Zhou Zhou suddenly had a ridiculous idea. He actually did not know who to give this incomparably precious hero inheritance to because he did not have a suitable candidate for it. TSK. It was a little like Versailles. Then, Zhou Zhou quickly thought of another candidate. That was the extraordinary tier Faceless Corpse King Deputy Commander he had instigated when he had just insight defection. As an extraordinary tier combatant, if he gave this hero inheritance to the other party to use, there would immediately be an extraordinary tier hero in his territory. There was no need to worry about loyalty. The other party's loyalty was reversed after all. The starting point was 89 points. In 3 days, the other party's loyalty could increase to 90 points with the help of the Peace and Prosperity Lord talent. It was comparable to half a dead loyal citizen. Still, the Faceless Corpse King's deputy commander had just arrived in his territory after all. He had no other contributions other than the civil war just now. Giving the other party the hero inheritance immediately would make the other subjects feel that it was unfair. Moreover, Zhou Zhou valued loyalty and qualifications more. The longer he followed him and made more contributions, the more he would value them. Even though the starting point of loyalty of the subjects who had just arrived in his territory was very high, Zhou Zhou was not very willing to give them a lot of benefits without making a great contribution. Zhou Zhou pondered. Suddenly, he thought of an idea. He opened the army interface, opened the military merit system, and issued military merit quests. The quest target was very simple. As long as a military professionals or combat professionals in his army had a total of 100,000 military merits, they could obtain the Ghost God General's Hero Inheritance secret manual for free and become the 5th hero in his territory. After Zhou Zhou assigned the military merit quests, he placed this Hero Inheritance secret manual in the army warehouse and said it to have had more than 100,000 military merits to exchange for it. The key words here were have had, which meant if the military merits that soldiers once had already been spent to increase their own strength, they could also be calculated as military merits. This would also be relatively reasonable. Currently, other than generals like Bai Yun and Wu Xian, the soldiers with the highest number of military merits in his army were a white platinum tier elementary grade sword shield soldier. The other party's total military merits had already reached more than 80,000. If the other party worked hard for the next 2 days, he might be able to satisfy the exchange conditions in 2 days. Zhou Zhou did not care much about such matters. It was his ability to exchange for it. If the other party was overtaken by the soldiers behind them, that was also the ability of the other soldiers. Zhou Zhou naturally would not interfere. It was a fair competition. Then, he looked at the military merit quests he had assigned and could not help but smack his lips. As kingdoms that had been established for hundreds of years, the Taiyan Kingdom and the Aurora Kingdom only had 3 heroes. He did not even establish a kingdom, but he already had 4 heroes that already existed, an empty epic tier hero inheritance, and 2 extraordinary tier hero inheritances from the Night Temple. All of this was almost brought to him by his Lord Talent. Thinking of this, his Lord Talent was indeed ridiculously strong. However, he calmed down when he thought of the hundreds of elven heroes in the Elven Empire. He still had a long way to go. It was not like he would stop developing just by developing it to a kingdom. This small result was nothing to be proud of. At the same time, just after Zhou Zhou issued the military merit quests, Bai Yun, Wu Xian, and all the Blazing Sun army soldiers immediately learned of the existence of the military merit quests. Their eyes immediately turned red when they saw the rewards for the military merit quests. It was actually the hero inheritance that all life forms in the world yearned for the most. As living beings of the High Continent, they naturally knew the meaning of heroes. It was also because of this that they were even more shocked by their lord's actions. If other kingdoms obtained a hero inheritance, who wouldn't be cautious and bestow it to trustworthy subordinates? However, their lord actually publicized this precious hero inheritance openly and even gave each of them a fair chance to compete. How much trust did he have in them for him to do this? Thinking of this, the loyalty of all the Blazing Sun army soldiers began to increase crazily. On the other side, Zhou Zhou looked at Bai Yun, Wu Xian, Feng Luo, and the other generals in front of him with a smile. It's just a military merit quest. Why is everyone looking at me like that? He smiled. Everyone was speechless. Just? You're saying that a military merit quest that concerns the hero inheritance is just a simple quest? Is this the Lord's level? It seems that we are too narrow-minded. All right, there's nothing to discuss about this. I took out this hero inheritance just to excite our soldiers. With this military merit reward from the hero inheritance, I believe our soldiers will be even more heroic in battle in the future and will be even more loyal to our territory. In short, the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. Zhou Zhou said, aren't the military merit requirements a little too low? It's an epic tier hero inheritance after all? Bai hesitated for a moment before saying. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Our surroundings are not safe. We can't make too many plans for the future. Therefore, if you have any means to increase your strength, it's better to cash out as soon as possible. Don't think too much about the future, he said, not to mention anything else. Zhou Zhou did not know what the opening of the final battlefield tomorrow would be like. However, with its name and the nature of the Supreme Will, it was definitely extremely dangerous. Honestly, if not for the fact that the hero inheritance of the Ghost God General was too precious, it would be a waste to use it rashly. He wanted to use it now for his subordinates to prepare for the final battlefield tomorrow. I understand, my lord. Bai Yun nodded. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. By the way, Bai Yun, this is for you. Feng Luo, this is for you. Zhou Zhou took out the Ghost God Military Morale and Unparalleled Ghost God skill books and handed them to Bai Yun and Feng Luo. The two of them took the two skill books with surprise. Then, they were stunned when they realized that they were hero skills. Grab hold of these two hero skills well. Don't disappoint me. Zhou Zhou looked at their expressions and smiled. Yes, my lord. Feng Luo knelt on one knee. I will definitely not disappoint you, my lord. Bai Yun was the same. She was equally excited. Apart from that, she was also a little flattered. During this period of time, she honestly said that her performance was not very outstanding among the crowd. Nazario was the #1 combatant of the Blazing Sun territory, so its importance was needless to say. Feng Luo had mastered peerless martial arts, and his performance on the battlefield was also very outstanding. Meanwhile, Wu Xian was able to control the greedy wolf howling moon array and control the greedy wolf avatar to kill on the battlefield. It could be said that Wu Xian had been the most glorious recently. And what about her? In front of the other three heroes, all she could do was to use her bow and arrow to silently kill more enemies for her lord, or be Wu Xian's assistant in the greedy wolf avatar. Other than that, she did not have any outstanding performance. It was also because of this that Bai Yun had been feeling guilty during this period of time. She knew that her lord valued her the most and invested the most resources in her. However, her performance was inferior to Wu Xian and the others. She was not jealous of them. However, she would feel that she was a little useless and let down her lord. On the other side, Zhou Zhou's sixth senses were astonishing. He quickly sensed Bai Yun's emotional fluctuations. He didn't say anything. He only told Feng Luo to leave first, and then looked at Wu Xian. General Wu, I didn't reward you with this reward just now. Are you dissatisfied? Zhou Zhou suddenly said, My lord, don't underestimate me. How can I be such a narrow-minded person? Furthermore, Ever since I joined the Overlord has done me many favors. It's all thanks to my Lord that I can recover my health and even regain my youth. With such a favor, how can I be dissatisfied with the Lord because of some rewards? Wu Xian said solemnly. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Wu Xian did not disappoint him. Even though Wu Xian was already dead loyal, logically speaking, even if she really did something unfair to him, he would definitely be loyal to her. There was no need for him to ask such a question. However, Zhou Zhou felt that it was precisely because the other party was dead loyal that he had to care more about his feelings. After all, they were on the same side. Even if it was insight defection. It was also impossible to induce a dead loyal citizen like Wu Xian to join insight defection. Even though those two hero skills are not bad, they either don't match your fighting style or can only be used as icing on the cake. If there are suitable loots in the future, I will naturally give them to you. Zhou Zhou said. Yes, my lord. Wu Xian said respectfully. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. Then, Wu Xian saw that Zhou Zhou and Bai Yi seemed to have something to talk about, so he took his leave. Bai Yun, don't be anxious. Just do as you think. We all believe in you. Zhou Zhou looked at Bai Yun and patted her shoulder. He looked at her approvingly and then left. There were some things that didn't need to be said too much. Otherwise, it would give the other party too much pressure. Bai Yun wasn't the kind of person who would only work hard if she felt pressured. He believed that the other party had his own plans. On the other side, when Bai Yun heard Zhou Zhou's words, she could not help but stare blankly at Zhou Zhou's departing figure. Then, her lord's words before he left sounded in her mind, and her expression gradually became determined. The Lord hasn't given up on me yet. If I give up on myself first, how can I live up to the Lord's nurturing? Don't worry, Bai Yun. You know how to become stronger. You know how to become Sir's right-hand man. Bai Yun muttered to herself as her expression became more and more determined. She stood on the spot for a while before returning to the Blazing Sun Army. On the way back, she saw someone waiting for her. It was Wu Xian. Teacher, Bai Yun said in surprise. This is for you. Wu Xian took out the greedy wolf totem and handed it to Bai Yun. Bai Yun was stunned. Why did you give it to me? She could not help but ask. I have already grasped the control method of the greedy wolf howling moon array. Even without this greedy wolf totem, I can still set up the greedy wolf howling moon array. It's even possible to create a stronger military formation. Wu Xian said proudly. He was a genius in military formations. Even though the greedy wolf howling moon array was indeed profound, after he developed the killer move, Moonfall, this greedy wolf howling moon array was no longer a secret to him. Thus, even without this greedy wolf totem, he could indeed set up the greedy wolf howling moon array. Thus, even without this greedy wolf totem, he could indeed set up the greedy wolf howling moon array. She knew that her teacher was very strong and was extremely talented in military formations. In the past, due to his injuries, he lost his fighting spirit and took the initiative to hide his brilliance. Now, not only had Wu Xian recovered his health, but he had also returned to his peak youth. He was no longer able to muddle through like before and took the initiative to completely shine. But even so, to be able to grasp this greedy wolf howling moon array in such a short period of time was far beyond Bai Yun's imagination. Congratulations, teacher. Bai Yun congratulated him. Wu Xian smiled and did not say anything. Then I will try this greedy wolf totem. Bai Yun took the greedy wolf totem. She looked at the blood-colored greedy wolf statue in her hand with a thoughtful expression, as if she was thinking about something. Wu Xian thought that Bai Yun was worried that she would not be able to use it well. He smiled and comforted her. You have been my assistant in the greedy wolf avatar for the past 2 days. Together, we will control this greedy wolf avatar. You know all the steps. With your aptitude, you should be able to master the greedy wolf howling moon array after just one try. Don't worry too much. Bai Yun was stunned for a moment before nodding. Wu Xian nodded and left without saying anything else. Teacher seems to have misunderstood me. Bai Yun thought to herself as she watched Wu Xian leave. She indeed wanted to use this greedy wolf totem to increase her strength, but not by controlling greedy wolf avatar. Instead, he borrowed this greedy wolf totem to walk a path that could truly increase his strength. Her path was not a military formation. That was her teacher's path, not hers. She understood this very well. However, he only had some clues about this path at the moment. It would not be too late to tell the Lord and the others when there were real results. Then, she took out the Ghost God Military Morale skill book that the Lord had given her. Ghost God Military Morale. It should be able to help me walk the path I want, Bayun thought to herself. Then, he turned around and left. On the other side, as Zhou Zhou walked back, he was thinking about Bayun. Actually, he had originally wanted to give the Ghost God Military Morale to Wu Xin. But it was just as he said. Wu Xin had the desired military morale to begin with. Giving the Ghost God Military Morale to the other party could only be considered icing on the cake. In fact, there was not much obvious improvement. As the official Legion commander of the Blazing Sun Army, Bayun was the one who needed this hero skill the most. That was why Zhou Zhou changed his mind and gave the Ghost God Military Morale to Bayun. This moment, Zhou Zhou suddenly saw the deputy commander of the Faceless Corpse King Corps and the remaining soldiers of the Faceless Corps walking towards him. "Greetings, my lord," the deputy commander of the Faceless Corpse King Corps said respectfully. "How many soldiers do you have left?" Zhou Zhou asked directly. "Reporting to my lord, after the battle just now, we still have 41,979 soldiers left. Among them are 22,369 Black Iron Tier Faceless Corpses, 10,346 Green Bronze Tier Faceless Corpse Elites, 6,925 White Silver Tier Faceless Corpse Elites, 2,178 Yellow Gold Tier Faceless Corpse Bosses, 149 White Platinum Tier Faceless Corpse Bosses, 11 Diamond Tier Faceless Corpse King Lords, and myself," Che-Chi reported. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. The number of casualties was still acceptable. In addition to the Blazing Sun Army, there is also a monster army in the Blazing Sun territory. It specializes in recruiting fog monsters like you. You should have seen it when you were fighting on the battlefield. Join the monster army and serve me from now on," Zhou Zhou said. "Yes, my lord," Che-Chi said excitedly. Monster Army. As soon as he heard this name, he knew that it suited him very well. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. He looked at the 40,000 soldiers and calculated in his heart. He realized that he already had 228,872 soldiers under his command. It had exceeded 200,000. He thought. Then, he suddenly thought of something and a smile appeared on his face. He wondered what the expression of the king, who was far away in the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom, would be when he heard that the army and heroes he had sent out had been wiped out. In the royal palace of the Taiyan Kingdom, and the Scarlet Ministers looked at a blood-red jade stone placed in the middle of the hall. At this moment, this jade stone had already been broken into 3 pieces and could no longer recover to its previous state. Zhou Wu's life jade shattered. In other words, he has already died at the hands of that human lord. The Faceless Corpse King Corps didn't send back any news either. They probably died there. Do you have anything else to say? King Taiyan looked at the Scarlet Ministers with a dark expression. Disbelief appeared on the faces of the Scarlet Courtiers, but when they looked at the blood-red life jade and felt the genuine aura of Zhou Wu on it, their expressions became solemn again. "Your Majesty, has this news been confirmed? Did our General Zhou Wu really die at the hands of that human lord? Your Majesty, has this news been confirmed? Did our General Zhou Wu really die at the hands of that human lord?" Previously, he had told His Majesty that he was just a lord of a myriad race. Moreover, he was a lord of a human race. He could easily get a general to bring some soldiers to deal with him. At that time, King Taiyan insisted that General Zhou Wu bring the Faceless Corpse King Corps. Even though he did not say anything on the surface, he felt that His Majesty was too cautious. He did not expect to hear the news of General Zhou Wu and the Faceless Corpse King Corps being destroyed together today. How could he not be shocked? At the same time, It and the other officials felt very heavy in their hearts. Scarlet heroes were an important combat force of a kingdom. It could even be said to be the pillar of the country. As a beginner-level Crimson Kingdom, the Taiyan Kingdom only had a total of 3 such pillars. As a beginner-level Crimson Kingdom, the Taiyan Kingdom only had a total of 3 such pillars. Even though they really didn't like the lunatic Zhou Zhou, the importance of the other party was there. No matter how much they disliked it, they did not want the other party to die so carelessly. It was that human lord who did it. Before the faceless corpse King Legion commander died, he sent back the scene of their battle. If you don't believe me, you can go take a look yourself. The human lord doesn't have many troops, but they're all elite soldiers. Moreover, they have endless experts. They're completely comparable to our kingdom's top army, King Taiyan said. Then, he looked at the ministers and suddenly sneered. Previously, you said that I was too cautious. Now, the hero I sent and the 500,000-strong army were all destroyed by that human lord. What else do you have to say? That's our Scarlet Hero and an entire faceless corpse King Corps. Towards the end, the Taiyan Kingdom roared angrily in front of the officials. The ministers were silent as if they were exchanging pleasantries. Otherwise, His Majesty wouldn't be so angry. However, who would have thought that a mere human lord could actually develop to the extent of being able to resist or even destroy their own army in half a month? At this moment, King Taiyan was still panting heavily. He looked at the ministers angrily, clearly still angry. After a long time, what do you think? King Taiyan's voice calmed down. Your Majesty, this matter concerns the destruction of our Scarlet Heroes and the Faceless Corpse King's army. We have to take revenge. Previously, we underestimated the other party's strength. That's why we suffered such a huge loss. Now that we know how strong the other party is, there wouldn't be any accident for us to deal with him seriously. The Military Affairs Chancellor stood up and said, but what about the main battlefield with the Aurora Kingdom? Even though we don't want to admit it, that human lord is indeed powerful. If we want to defeat him with an absolute advantage, we have to transfer some troops to that human lord from the frontal battlefield. But we're about to force the Aurora Kingdom to a dead end. If we retreat now, won't we be giving them a chance to catch their breath? Another minister objected. That human lord only used half a month to develop to such a powerful level. If we let him continue to develop, wouldn't he become another Aurora Kingdom in the future? Therefore, I feel that we have to deal with that human lord first. That's right. Don't think that just because the lords of all races have just started to develop, their threat is small. How can it be so simple to be chosen by the lord of all races who is valued by the supreme will? No, conquering the Aurora Kingdom is our Taiyan Kingdom's 100-year plan. If we stop now and let the other party recover at this time, wouldn't all our previous efforts be in vain? The Scarlet Courtiers argued endlessly. King Taiyan, who was sitting on the throne, was also very hesitant. After a long time, it took a deep breath. I've decided. Let's deal with the Aurora Kingdom first. After dealing with the Aurora Kingdom, we'll do our best to deal with that human lord. I have a premonition. If that human lord grows up, his threat will not be inferior to the Aurora Kingdom. So, this king has decided. Gather all the troops and war resources of our Taiyan Kingdom. From now on, launch a full-scale attack on the Aurora Kingdom. It held up 2 fingers. 2 days. I want to take down the capital of the Aurora Kingdom in 2 days and see that old man Li Yuangan's head. You can only win this battle. You can't lose. It said resolutely.
Yes.
The ministers were shocked by His Majesty's decisiveness. They did not expect a lord of the human race to force him to make such a huge decision. Your Majesty, what if that human lord continues to attack our territory? A minister asked. Get the surrounding lords to defend against the other party's attack. We'll stall for as long as we can. If it really doesn't work, there's no harm in giving it all to the other party. After I deal with the Aurora Kingdom, I can free up my hands to deal with the other party. At that time, I'll make him spit out as much as he can eat now. King Taiyan said coldly. The ministers clicked their tongues. His Majesty would actually make such a desperate decision? However, under this huge change, there would also be great opportunities. As long as they could survive this period of time and successfully take down the Aurora Kingdom and that human lord, the development of their Taiyan Kingdom would completely enter the acceleration channel. Becoming an intermediate-grade Crimson Kingdom was just around the corner. By the way, do you have a solution to the Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower that appeared on the main battlefield recently? King Taiyan suddenly said. While the Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower had just appeared in the city of the Aurora Kingdom, there were very few of them. However, after using it once or twice, they realized how powerful and terrifying this Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower was. If the Aurora Kingdom was really equipped with a large number of Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Towers, the situation of the two countries on the main battlefield would definitely be rewritten. Therefore, it had already become a thorn in the side of the Taiyan King and the other Scarlet Ministers. Your Majesty, we have found the source of the Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower and have formulated a plan. If nothing goes wrong, there will be news tonight. The military intelligence minister stepped forward and said respectfully. The King of Taiyan nodded. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, the sky had already darkened, and even the scarlet fog had begun to fill the air. On the battlefield of Kingdom Beginning City, under the operation of the 10 yellow gold-tier advanced-grade Conqueror's blast furnaces, a large number of spoils of war had already turned into 10 small mountains that were 30 to 40 meters tall. Zhou Zhou was deep in thought when he saw this. It was time to buy more Conqueror's blast furnaces. Under the operation of the 10 Conqueror's blast furnaces, it took nearly 5 hours to completely extract all the spoils of war from the corpses of more than 460,000 faceless corpse King Corps soldiers. After half a day, other than constantly transporting corpses to the Conqueror's blast furnace, the soldiers did nothing else. It was a waste of time. Originally, he had planned to conquer the ownerless Scarlet Lord territory on the map that Wu Tu had given him yesterday. From the looks of it, there was no time left. Moreover, after today's battle and transporting corpses, the soldiers were physically and mentally exhausted. They also needed to rest to prepare for the counterattack of the final battlefield tomorrow in the Taiyan Kingdom that could arrive at any time. Let's see if there's time tomorrow to obtain a territory token to increase the level of the territory. Zhou Zhou was looking forward to it. Half an hour later, Bai Yun walked over with the statistical battle list. Zhou Zhou took it and looked at it. The 460,000 corpses of the Faceless Corpse King Corps were enhanced by the titles of the King of Loots and the Strongest Lord. There were a total 140 Epic Tier Mist Corps, 3,120 Extraordinary Tier Mist Corps, 65,430 Diamond Tier Mist Corps, 162,350 White Platinum Tier Mist Corps, 1,018,920 Yellow Gold Tier Mist Corps, 1,507,810 White Silver Tier Mist Corps, and 2,951,360 Green Bronze Tier Mist Corps, 620 Origin Crystals, 1,204,210 Skill Books, and 1,257,960 Equipment. More than 2,060,000,000 units of basic materials. 248,963 True Faith Tier Scarlet Crystals, 151,601 Pious Tier Scarlet Crystals, and 62,130 Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals. 54 Alchemy Pharmacist Recruitment Books, 35 Alchemy Technician Recruitment Books, 120 Mount Contracts, 6 Empire-Level Combat Class, Army Extermination Knight Classification, 12 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. Apart from the above loots, in this Kingdom Beginning City Defense Battle, after eliminating more than 460,000 Faceless Corpse King Corps soldiers, a total of 137,628 people broke through. Among them, 52,639 people were promoted to Black Iron Tier Intermediate Grade and Black Iron Tier Advanced Grade. 40,213 people advanced from Black Iron Tier to the Green Bronze Tier. 25,487 people advanced to the White Silver Tier. 15,975 people advanced to the Yellow Gold Tier. 3,314 people broke through to the White Platinum Tier. In addition, Nazario had broken through to the White Platinum Tier Intermediate Grade. Bai Yun had broken through to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Soul Reaper Maris had broken through to White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Spectral Dragon Auguste had broken through to Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade. Then, Zhou Zhou looked at the summary of the strength of the soldiers at the bottom of the loot list. Now, he had a total of 143,256 soldiers from the Blazing Sun Army and the Monster Army under his command. Among them, there were 55,487 Black Iron Rank soldiers. There were 68,190 Bronze soldiers. There were 58,134 Silver soldiers. There were 39,578 Yellow Gold Tier soldiers. There were 7,471 White Platinum Tier soldiers. 11 Diamond soldiers. 1 Extraordinary Tier soldier. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction when he saw the name list. This was only a breakthrough on the battlefield. When he returned to Blazing Sun City later and passed through the Triumphal Arch, it would be another wave of improvement. A moment later, the battlefield was completely cleaned up. Zhou Zhou led all the soldiers and returned to Blazing Sun City through the spatial teleportation array. Then, he led all the soldiers through the Triumphal Arch again, and another 30,000 soldiers broke through. However, most of the soldiers who broke through were at the Yellow Gold Tier and below White Silver Tier. There were only a dozen or so soldiers who had broken through to the White Platinum Tier level, so there was no need to elaborate. Just as he was about to return to the Lord Manor and upgrade all his Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade skills to the Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade skill book, Aaliyah suddenly reported to him that Li Yu's maid, Yu Qiao, had come to find her. Yu Qiao? Just herself? Zhou Zhou was stunned and asked. Yes, my lord. Aaliyah nodded. Then, she hesitated for a moment and couldn't help but say, Yu Qiao doesn't know what happened. Her eyes are red. She won't say anything no matter what I ask. She only said that she wants to see my lord. Yu Qiao's eyes were red? Could it be that the little girl who usually smiled sweetly and mischievously was crying? For some reason, when Zhou Zhou heard this news, his heart skipped a beat. At this moment, Li Yu's figure suddenly appeared in his mind. Could it be? Without any time to think, Zhou Zhou immediately walked out of his room and quickly walked out of the Lord Manor. He saw Yu Qiao standing there alone, looking at him with red eyes. Big brother Zhou, the princess has been assassinated. When Yu Qiao saw Zhou Zhou, it was as if the tense string in her heart had finally been broken. She could no longer control her emotions and burst into tears. The cries were desperate and moving. When Zhou Zhou heard this news, he was stunned. Li Yu was assassinated? The girl who was always thinking about saving her country. Dead? However, he quickly remembered that he had a way of revival and immediately regained most of his composure. Zhou Zhou quickly walked up to Yu Qiao and grabbed her shoulder, making her look at him. Don't cry. I have an idea. Tell me, when was Li Yu assassinated? Zhou Zhou asked. What he didn't notice was that even though he knew that he had the means to revive the other party, there was an irrepressible anger and ruthlessness in his voice. An invisible pressure spread out, making Zhou Zhou's surroundings as cold as an abyss. However, this pressure cleverly avoided Yu Qiao. Otherwise, Yu Qiao would probably be crushed to death by his pressure in an instant. Her Highness was assassinated about half an hour ago. Yu Qiao didn't see the other party clearly. However, Yu Qiao heard from the Ministry of Justice that the assassin is an assassin from the top assassin organization in the Taiyan Kingdom, the Shadow Puppet Society. The Shadow Puppet Club's shadow puppet fiends can hide in the shadows of life forms and wait for an opportunity to assassinate their targets. The people from the Ministry of Justice said that the assassin hid in Her Highness's shadow. When Her Highness wasn't paying attention, he suddenly appeared from the shadow and pierced Her Highness's heart from the back, causing Her Highness to die immediately. Then, He snatched Her Highness's spatial ring. Yu Qiao cried as she spoke. Spatial ring? What was in Li Yu's spatial ring? Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and remembered the 1,000 diamond tier aurora crystals he had given the other party this morning. Could it be that the other party was here for the aurora crystal? That's not right. Zhou Zhou suddenly realized something, and his expression turned ugly. The other party was here for the diamond tier elementary grade Aurora Kingdom tower that he had sold to the Aurora Kingdom. With that thought, it made sense. Only items that were related to the outcome of the war between the two countries would make the Taiyan Kingdom suddenly attack the princess of the Aurora Kingdom. Zhou Zhou fell silent. This was not the most important thing. Most importantly, Li Yu's heart had been pierced by an assassin. He had thought that if Li Yu's body was 70% complete and her brain and heart were not destroyed, he could ask Carol Moeli to revive her with the small resurrection spell. However, Li Yu's heart had been pierced, so the minor resurrection spell was useless. The only way now was to find a Holy Spirit-level Faith Divine Crystal and use the Great Resurrection spell to revive the other party. As for whether it was worth it, Zhou Zhou had never thought about it. Li Yu was a friend, he acknowledged. If he wanted to save his friend, so be it. There was no **T reason like whether it was worth it or not. If he had done everything from the perspective of benefits, he would not have used Bai Yun until now and always regarded her as his most valued general. He would not have given the Calamity Crossing Spirit Pill to Nazario after obtaining it, instead of giving it to Auguste, so that its strength could be raised to the yellow gold tier advanced grade. Zhou Zhou took a deep breath and looked at the sky. There was still about half an hour before the sky turned completely dark. There was still time. At the thought of this, Zhou Zhou immediately turned to look at Bai Yun, Wu Xian, and the others. Wu Xian, Nazario, Che Chi, bring 500 white platinum tier soldiers and follow me to the Aurora Kingdom.
Yes.
The three of them said in unison. Bai Yun, before I return, you will be in charge of protecting the territory. I'll leave behind a bloodbat avatar. If you encounter any emergency, you can contact me through the bloodbat avatar. Zhou Zhou knew that the other party had already obtained the greedy wolf totem. In times of danger, he could control the greedy wolf avatar and possess the peak combat strength of an extraordinary tier. Therefore, he was very confident in her defense of the city. Moreover, he still had returned to the city. If he encountered danger, or when the final battlefield started tomorrow, he could immediately bring everyone back to reinforce the city through return to the city. Therefore, he did not have to worry about anything happening during the time he was away. Then, he made some arrangements. After everything was arranged, he looked at Yu Qiao. You know how to find Li Yu's body as soon as possible, right? He asked. I do. Yu Qiao immediately said. She had already treated Zhou Zhou as her last straw to clutch at. Take me there.
Yup.
High up in the sky on Nazario's back, Zhou Zhou, Wu Xian, Che Chi, Yu Qiao, and 500 white platinum tier soldiers were standing there. Nazario, who was already at the white platinum tier intermediate grade, was already more than 600 meters tall. It was naturally easy for him to carry more than 500 people. The spatial teleportation array is there. At this moment, Yu Qiao suddenly pointed at a spot below. There was no need for Zhou Zhou to speak. Nazario automatically retracted his dragon wings and dove towards the spatial teleportation array below. As for Zhou Zhou and the others, they did not feel like tilting at all under the strange force. Soon, Nazario was getting closer and closer to the spatial teleportation array. Everyone also saw the spatial teleportation array clearly. Two teams of yellow gold tier soldiers were guarding here. The leader was a white platinum tier advanced grade Aurora Knight, riding on a white horse. When he saw Nazario swooping down and the people on his back, his expression suddenly changed. Just as he was about to call for everyone to defend, this moment, General Wu, it's me. Yu Qiao shouted and took out a white jade token from the brocade pouch at her waist. The Aurora Knight was stunned. Then, he took out a white jade token from his chest. He saw that this white jade token was currently emitting a faint, gentle white light. Boom! Nazario landed heavily on the ground. However, the people behind it did not feel any bumps. General Wu, please quickly activate the teleportation array to Sunshine City. Yu Qiao held the token and said. The Aurora Knight with the surname Wu did not hesitate when he heard this. He directly asked the soldiers to open the spatial teleportation array and adjust the array. The adjustment of the array formation was completed in no time. Yu Qiao, the spatial teleportation array is ready. You guys are going to. General Wu hesitated. Then, Nazario carried them directly to the teleportation circle. Right on the heels of that, the teleportation circle lit up and Nazario, Zhou Zhou, and the others immediately disappeared. General Wu was dumbfounded. He directly rode a pure-blooded dragon to Sunshine City? The spatial teleportation array of Sunshine City was in the city. Wasn't Yu Qiao and the others afraid of causing panic? At this moment, he couldn't help but think of the outstanding young man standing on the dragon's back. The other party should be the leader of this pure-blooded dragon race. Who is he? He actually made Yu Qiao, who had always followed the rules, do such a reckless thing? Yellow Gold, Tier Regional Territory, Sunshine City. Zhou Zhou had once come here to purchase Aurora crystals. However, he had come obediently last time. This time, his appearance alarmed the residents of the entire city. When Nazario, who was more than 600 meters tall, appeared in Sunshine City, all the subjects in the city were shocked. Panic followed. Fortunately, Yu Qiao took out the token in time and informed the city lord of Blazing Sun City, Wu Balian, who had rushed over. When Wu Balian found out about this, he immediately sent someone to inform the crowd. Then, he looked at Zhou Zhou and nodded. So it's because of the princess. That really can't wait. Go to Shilua City. I'll apply to the capital so that your journey will be smooth and you won't be questioned too much, he said. Even though he knew that Zhou Zhou and the others wanted to go to the capital, there was nothing he could do. The spatial teleportation array in their kingdom did not have the kind of teleportation array that could lead straight to the capital. Therefore, if he wanted to go to the capital, he could only teleport to the capital like now. However, Wu Balian looked at Zhou Zhou, who was standing on Nazario's back, as well as Wu Xian, Che Chi, and the 500 white platinum tier soldiers behind him. The corners of his mouth could not help but twitch. If you want to go to the capital, then go to the capital. Can you not do such a thing? Look at how frightened you our subjects in Blazing Sun City are. Those who know will think that you're going to the capital to help. Those who don't know will think that you're going to attack the capital. Wu Balian complained. It was true. Under Zhou Zhou's feet, Nazario, Wu Xian, and Che Chi were all extraordinary tier combatants. If they wanted to cause trouble in the capital, unless the heroes of the Aurora Kingdom made a move, no one would be able to control them. Wu Balian's words made sense. However, when Zhou Zhou heard this, he only said lightly, I just want to protect myself. You don't trust us that much? Wu Balian was speechless. Zhou Zhou looked at him and said seriously, Leia died in the capital. City Lord Wu, do you really think that the capital of the Aurora Kingdom is still safe? Wu Balian was stunned. Then, he thought of something and his expression changed. Zhou Zhou glanced at the other party and roughly knew what he was thinking. There was probably a spy from the Taiyan Kingdom in the capital of the Aurora Kingdom. Otherwise, how could Leia have easily spread the news of the origin of the Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower? How could she have been arrogantly assassinated by the shadow puppet demon in the capital? To Zhou Zhou, the capital of the Aurora Kingdom could be said to be a rather dangerous place. That was why he brought Wu Xian, Nazario, the ruler, and 500 white platinum tier soldiers to protect himself. Of course, even without Leia, based on Zhou Zhou's personality, the first time he came to the capital of the Aurora Kingdom, he would arrange some protective measures for himself. It was just that he wouldn't be as arrogant as he was now. In Wu Balian's silence, Zhou Zhou and the others used the spatial teleportation array to arrive at the next city. In the next hour or so, Zhou Zhou and the others kept going to and fro the various spatial teleportation arrays. After passing through 16 spatial teleportation arrays, they finally arrived at the capital of the Aurora Kingdom. In the capital of the Aurora Kingdom, the rain continued to drizzle. Some of the subjects in the capital walked quickly in the rain, while others strolled leisurely in the rain, enjoying the current weather. However, most of the subjects in the capital were whispering at this moment, discussing the major events that had happened today. Have you heard? His Majesty's only daughter, Princess Fengyu, was assassinated and died. How could this be? Doesn't that mean that His Majesty does not have any more descendants? That's right. Sigh. Thinking about it, His Majesty is also pitiful. He is clearly conscientious and worrying every day. He only wants to fight for a good future for the kingdom, but his children have left him one by one. They either died on the battlefield or were killed by the assassins of the enemy country. Now, His Majesty has become alone again. Now that our kingdom is surrounded by enemies on 3 sides, and now that His Majesty's children have all died, could it be that the heavens want us to perish? Don't talk nonsense. Wait, what's that? That's a dragon. Just as the subjects in the capital were having mixed thoughts, a crimson dragon more than 600 meters tall suddenly appeared outside the capital. It was Nazario. It looked down at the subjects in the capital before retracting its gaze. Then, after Zhou Zhou and the others jumped down from its back, it spread its dragon wings and flew into the sky to circle around. Even though there was a no-fly zone in the capital, with Nazario's strength that was comparable to an extraordinary tier hero of the normal race, it could naturally ignore it. However, the capital was not a normal place after all. Zhou Zhou did not want to be too rude and make everyone here panic, so he asked Nazario to fly into the sky and observe his location in the capital. It would not be too late to save him if anything happened to him. At the entrance of the capital, when Zhou Zhou, Wu Xian, and Qi arrived, they saw the guards standing there early. When he saw them, he hesitated for a moment before walking over quickly. "Are you the Lord of Blazing Sun City?" His gaze lingered between Zhou Zhou and Wu Xian. Wu Xian had already returned to his youthful appearance. If he was not an old man, he would not be able to recognize the current Wu Xian. As for Qi, the faceless corpse king lord, he did not find it strange. In this world, there were many extraordinary tier people who had the means to control the fog monsters. Some were temporarily controlled, and some were permanently controlled. Therefore, he was not surprised that there was a fog monster beside them. "That's me," Zhou Zhou said. "His Majesty has been waiting for a long time. Please follow me." The guard looked at Zhou Zhou for a long time before nodding. Then, he began to lead the way for the two of them and Qi. He actually remembered Zhou Zhou's appearance before he came. However, Zhou Zhou's appearance and temperament had undergone an obvious optimization after he obtained his talent, celestial appearance. Therefore, he did not recognize him for a moment. He only barely confirmed it when Zhou Zhou spoke. A moment later, Royal Palace. In the Fengyu Palace. This was Li Yu's princess bedroom, and Fengyu was also Li Yu's princess title. When Zhou Zhou and the others arrived, they saw an old man with white hair and beard lying in a crystal coffin, looking at the woman inside in a daze. It was the current emperor of the Aurora Kingdom, Li Yuangon. Seeing this scene, Wu Xian, who was beside Zhou Zhou, trembled. "Your Majesty!" he cried out. After saying that, he immediately realized that he had been rude. He immediately knelt on one knee to Zhou Zhou in shame. His true lord was beside him now. How could he call someone else His Majesty? Zhou Zhou shook his head and reached out to help Wu Xian up. "You've worked with the king for decades. You look like a monarch and subject, but you're actually brothers. So what if you subconsciously call him Your Majesty when you see him like this? I'm not someone who doesn't know how to be human. There's no need to do this," he said. He still trusted his dead loyal subjects very much. Naturally, he would not blame Wu Xian for a mere "Your Majesty." "Thank you, my lord," Wu Xian said gratefully. At this moment, when Li Yuangon heard Wu Xian's voice, he also looked at him shakily. "You are Xiao Wu." His voice was hoarse. At this moment, his eyes were dim and lifeless, and his face was filled with wrinkles and age spots. He did not look like the wise and benevolent king rumored by the people. "Why are you like this?" Wu Xian's body trembled again, and he could not help but ask. "Hee hee, little Wu, you've become younger." It's good to be young. It's good to be young. When I see you, I think of the time when the two of us rode together. How high-spirited we were then. Cough, cough. Li Yuangan's voice was very weak and low, as if a gust of wind could blow it away. Towards the end, he coughed softly. He was really too weak. He was so weak that he almost had no strength to cough. Your Majesty, how did you become like this? Zhou Zhou also frowned. How could he not tell that this king of the Aurora Kingdom was probably at the end of his rope? However, according to his previous understanding, even though King Li Yuangan was already old, he was still energetic. Otherwise, he would not be able to deal with so many things every day. I just sent all my Aurora Kingdom energy into my daughter's body. I want her to open her eyes again and call me Father. Li Yuangan muttered. Aurora Kingdom's energy? What's that? Zhou Zhou was puzzled. At this moment, Wu Xian approached and explained in a low voice. My lord, the Aurora Kingdom's energy is the origin energy of the Aurora Kingdom's human race. However, only the Aurora Kingdom humans with extremely pure bloodlines can master this energy. And the essence of the Aurora Kingdom's energy is actually the lifespan of the Aurora Kingdom's human race. The king probably wants to give his lifespan to Princess Li Ya in an attempt to revive her. At this point, Wu Xian sighed. But she's already dead. What's the point of inputting his lifespan now? You must be the Lord of the Blazing Sun, Zhou Zhou, whom my daughter often mentions, right? The appearance of a dragon and phoenix, the pride of a celestial. No wonder my daughter likes you so much. What a pity. My daughter is already dead. At this moment, the decrepit Li Yuangan looked at Zhou Zhou and said. After saying that, he staggered and fell to the ground because he was weak. I have had 4 sons and 1 daughter in my life. They were all destroyed by the war. Yet I'm still alive. The war, what did it bring us? He muttered to himself in a daze. Zhou Zhou did not answer. To Li Yuangan, he was the answer himself and did not need anyone to answer him. He silently walked over and came to the side of the crystal coffin. He looked at the figure sleeping quietly in the crystal coffin and suddenly felt pity and hatred for war. But so what? He was just a pitiful worm involved in the war. All he could do was take care of himself, the people he loved, and the people who loved him. If possible, then he would do his best to constantly become stronger, so strong that he could end this war that would affect all races in the future. And then, returning to the hometown that he had been thinking about, Your Majesty, give me Li Ya's corpse. I can resurrect her. Zhou Zhou suddenly said. The Fengyu Palace was silent for a while. Really? Li Yuangan trembled as he came in front of Zhou Zhou and grabbed his shoulder. I've already revived many people. If Your Majesty doesn't believe me, you can send someone to my territory to take a look. Li Ya is my friend. I won't let her die like this. Zhou Zhou said. Li Yuangan looked at him. Suddenly, he laughed out loud, his voice shaking the entire Fengyu Palace. He did not look like an old man on the verge of death at all. After a while, the laughter stopped. Li Yuangan looked at the drizzle outside. He suddenly made a decision. Lord of the Blazing Sun, if you can revive my daughter and avenge her, I'll give you the entire Aurora Kingdom. How about it? His dim yellow eyes were actually staring at Zhou Zhou like tigers and wolves. In the Fengyu Palace, Zhou Zhou was not the only one who did not react when Li Yuangan said this. Even Wu Xian and Che Qi were stunned. He was willing to give up the entire kingdom personally as long as he saved one person's life? What kind of dream king was this? Really? Zhou Zhou was silent for a few seconds before asking. He did not say that he did not accept it. This was a kingdom-level remuneration? Which fool wouldn't accept it? Of course. Li Yuangan said without hesitation in the face of Zhou Zhou's question. Your Majesty, can you specify your request? Zhou Zhou asked. Okay. Actually, it's just as I said. On the one hand, you have to revive my daughter without any problems. On the other hand, I'm not asking you to destroy the entire Taiyan kingdom to avenge my daughter. As long as you can destroy the shadow puppet society in the Taiyan kingdom, this condition will be fulfilled. After completing the two above conditions, I can bring you to the location of the Aurora Kingdom's kingdom token and let you occupy it. You can become the new Aurora Kingdom king, or whatever king you want to be. How is it? Are you satisfied? Li Yuangan stared at Zhou Zhou as he spoke. If others heard his words, they would definitely think that Li Yuangan was crazy. How could he believe that Zhou Zhou really had the ability to revive Li Ya and avenge her vendetta? However, Li Yuangan felt that this handsome young man with an extraordinary aura in front of him could do this. This confidence was not without reason. He had just learned something before Zhou Zhou arrived. The troops sent by the Taiyan kingdom to attack the Blazing Sun territory suffered an unprecedented defeat. Not only was the 500,000 faceless corpse king corps collectively destroyed, even the Black Wind Demon Spear, Zhou Wu, whom he had high hopes for, had died in the hands of this lord in front of him. That was a genuine extraordinary tier scarlet hero. Only 3 could be found in the entire huge Taiyan kingdom. Moreover, every scarlet hero was regarded by the Taiyan kingdom as the extremely important foundation of the country. Now, he was killed by a lord of the human race who had just arrived in the high continent for more than half a month. How could this not be unbelievable? However, that was the truth. It could be seen how strong the Lord of the Blazing Sun was. This was only the Lord of the Blazing Sun who had developed for more than half a month. What if he gave the other party another half a month, half a year, or even a year? Then it might be easy to destroy the Taiyan kingdom. This was also the reason why Li Yuangan dared to make such a condition. He believed in Zhou Zhou's future. It was precisely because he believed it that he made up his mind to give the kingdom away to save his daughter. On one hand, it was because the Aurora Kingdom was the greatest capital he had. He believed that Zhou Zhou would definitely be tempted. On the other hand, it was because of Li Yuangan himself. He was a little tired of war. He, who no longer had children, wanted to hand this burden to a reliable human junior. Zhou Zhou naturally met this condition perfectly. Then I promise you. Zhou Zhou agreed without hesitation after confirming that the other party was not lying. He had the intention to save Li Ya to begin with. Now, there was also a huge benefit. No one would refuse. Still, Zhou Zhou could not help but look at Li Ya, who was sleeping in the crystal coffin. He wondered what she would think when she found out that the price of his resurrection was the entire kingdom. On the other side, when Li Yuangan heard Zhou Zhou agree, he seemed to have unburdened himself and heaved a long sigh of relief. Even though he was conscientious and worthy of the responsibility on his shoulders when he was the king of the Aurora Kingdom. However, it was fate. Not only did the Aurora Kingdom not get better because they were surrounded by enemies on 3 sides, but their situation also became more and more difficult. The news he heard every day in the palace was either that some territory had been captured, or how many soldiers they had lost and how many subjects had died. Towards this, Li Yuangan, who loved his people like his children, had actually been suffering in his heart. If the Aurora Kingdom could be controlled by the Lord of the Blazing Sun in front of him, no, it should be said that the future king of the Blazing Sun would be in charge. Its situation would definitely be much better, right? Li Yuangan thought leisurely. Then, he saw Zhou Zhou looking at Li Ya. His gaze was filled with worry and concern. Li Yuangan smiled. His daughter had not liked him for nothing. If little Ya revives, marry her. Li Yuangan suddenly smiled. Zhou Zhou was stunned for a moment before shaking his head without hesitation. I don't have any plans to get married yet. Li Yuangan could not help but persuade him further, but he stopped seeing Zhou Zhou's determined expression. Just as he was about to talk about something else, his vision suddenly darkened, and his body swayed, about to fall. Zhou Zhou was quick to react and immediately supported the other party. Your Majesty, you don't have much time left. Don't be too excited. He frowned. He thought for a moment and took out 2 Blood Honey King cakes from his spatial ring and handed them to the other party. Your Majesty, eat these 2 desserts first. It can help you recover and increase your lifespan. It can also allow your body to recover to its peak. Li Ya's resurrection is not a problem. Don't be gone when Li Ya revives. Like Little Wu? After Li Yuangan regained his consciousness, he looked at the two desserts that emitted a strong fragrance and said in surprise. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. What do I need to exchange for such a precious treasure? Li Yuangan said. There's no need to exchange. Take it as a gift from me. Zhou Zhou shook his head. It was just the blood honey king cake, not the blood honey royal cake. It was not worth mentioning to him. Li Yuangan smacked his lips and was surprised by Zhou Zhou's generosity. However, he did not say anything and took it and ate it on the spot. A moment later, Li Yuangan, who had already recovered to his middle-aged appearance, held a mirror and looked at his young self in it. He felt his energetic body and was stunned. He had really recovered to his peak state? The dessert given to him by the Lord of the Blazing Sun was really so magical. He looked at Zhou Zhou again and suddenly felt that he had become unfathomable. No wonder he could destroy the faceless corpse king core and kill the Black Wind Demon Spear, Zhou, causing the Taiyan Kingdom to suffer such a huge loss. A casual move was already so extraordinary. Your Majesty, since the matter is settled, I won't stay any longer. I have something important to do in my territory tomorrow, so I have to return to my territory immediately. If your Majesty doesn't mind, I want to bring Li Ye along. This way, when I can revive her, I will immediately revive her. Zhou Zhou said, It's already so late and the world is already filled with scarlet fog. Why don't you stay for the night before leaving? Li Yuangan said, There's no need. I have a way back. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Li Yuangan saw his determined expression and looked at Li Ye in the crystal coffin. In the end, he nodded. At this moment, report. An urgent soldier with 9 command flags on his back rushed into Fengyu Palace and knelt on one knee. Your Majesty, the Diamond Tier regional territory, Zhou City has been captured. The 4-armed Mara King, Taro, and the Ice Soul Arrow Demon, Wuxin is leading the 6 armies of the Taiyan Kingdom to attack the capital with a total of 2.13 million fog soldiers. They've already broken through many territories along the way, and more than 100,000 soldiers have died. With their marching speed, they will probably arrive outside the capital city in 2 days at most. The soldier said anxiously, Is the Taiyan Kingdom crazy? 2 million fog soldiers. Don't they care about the other territories under their command? Li Yuangan, who had just recovered to his peak, frowned. Even though he was shocked and even a little panicked when he heard this news, he naturally would not show it in front of others with his shrewdness. Zhou Zhou also narrowed his eyes. For now, yes. It's precisely because the Taiyan Kingdom has extracted most of the troops from the various territories in the country that they can gather so many troops. The soldier said, This is going to be done in one go. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. Is there anything else? Li Yuangan asked. Not at the moment. Then leave. Report to me immediately when you have the latest information, including but not limited to the real-time location of their advance, the change in military strength, the offensive route. This king has to know everything at all times. Li Yuangan was a little panicked at first, but he had completely calmed down now and immediately ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. The soldier immediately said and retreated respectfully. Nephew, what do you think? Li Yuangan turned to Zhou Zhou and said, Your Majesty's kingdom is going to perish. Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and said, Li Yuangan was speechless. Then, he shook his head. You're really direct. Then, nephew, do you have a way to break out of this situation? He asked bluntly. How many troops does His Majesty have now? How are they compared to these 2 million fog soldiers? Zhou Zhou asked. Diamond Tier regional territory, Zhou City is the main battlefield where we fought the Taiyan Kingdom previously. We've arranged a large number of troops to guard that place. Now that that place has been breached, I'm afraid all the soldiers guarding there have been sacrificed. In addition to the number of deaths mentioned by the urgent soldier just now, I still have about 500,000 troops under my command. In terms of combat strength, our 500,000 Aurora Kingdom soldiers are similar to the 500,000 Fog soldiers of the Taiyan Kingdom. Li Yuangan thought for a moment and said, The difference in military strength is too great. I have no choice. Zhou Zhou shook his head. Li Yuangan did not say anything. He just stood on the spot and pondered quietly. A moment later, I have an idea, he suddenly said. Then, he looked at Zhou Zhou. I will send all the troops of our kingdom to resist the fog army of the Taiyan kingdom. During this period, the internal territory of the Taiyan kingdom will definitely be empty. If you attack now, you will definitely be able to take the opportunity to occupy a large number of territories and cause the Taiyan kingdom to suffer heavy losses. At that time, if the Taiyan kingdom chooses to retreat, the Aurora kingdom's predicament will naturally be resolved, and you will obtain a large number of benefits. What do you think? Li Yuangan asked. What if the Taiyan kingdom doesn't choose to return to aid them? Zhou Zhou asked. If the Taiyan kingdom doesn't choose to return to help, it can only mean that the fate of tomorrow isn't with our Aurora kingdom. At that time, I would have no other way out. I will go to the battlefield myself and die on the battlefield guarding the kingdom's territory with the soldiers. Li Yuangan said coldly. Their Li family's children had all died because of the war. So what if he was added? Zhou Zhou praised him in his heart. There was a reason why this emperor could be praised by countless Aurora Kingdom citizens, not to mention other advantages. This courage alone surpassed many emperors in history. I understand what your majesty means. However, I might not be able to go to the Taiyan kingdom to conquer their empty territory immediately tomorrow. I just mentioned that something big will happen in our lords tomorrow, so I might not be able to care about the Taiyan kingdom. Zhou Zhou said. He still did not know what would happen in the final battlefield tomorrow. Therefore, it was not good for him to agree to Li Yuangan's request. Li Yuangan fell silent. After a while, he smiled. It's fine. When the time comes, we just do our best to do what we should do. Leave the rest to fate, he said. He had no other choice even though he felt a little helpless saying that. He had done his best. Zhou Zhou did not say anything. He stood on the spot and pondered quietly. Not far away, Wu Xian and Che were also thinking of a way to break out of the situation. Li Yuangan shook his head when he saw this, feeling that there was not much hope. The difference in military strength was too great. All strategies were useless in the face of absolute strength. Forget it. He only hoped that he could kill more soldiers of the Taiyan kingdom in the next 2 days. Li Yuangan thought to himself, Your Majesty. Zhou Zhou looked up at Li Yuangan. Why? Li Yuangan asked. Your Majesty can secretly transmit the internal emptiness of the Taiyan kingdom to the Titan kingdom in the north and the Netherbark kingdom in the east. At that time, they will definitely send troops to the Taiyan kingdom to take one's share of the loot. At that time, the 3 forces would be gathered in the Taiyan kingdom. If the Taiyan kingdom did not withdraw their troops and return to help, the destruction of the country would probably only be an instant. When the Taiyan kingdom withdraws their troops, the Aurora kingdom's predicament will resolve itself. Zhou Zhou said. Li Yuangan frowned and thought for a while before shaking his head. What if the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom invade the Aurora kingdom instead of the Taiyan kingdom after I spread the news? Our Aurora kingdom looks weak and easy to bully compared to the Taiyan kingdom after all. At that time, our Aurora kingdom will be destroyed faster if the 3 countries attack together. We might not even be able to last a day. Zhou Zhou shook his head in the face of Li Yuangan's doubts. That won't happen. It's precisely because the Aurora kingdom is weak that the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom will leave your Aurora kingdom alone and invade the Taiyan kingdom. Because even if the Aurora kingdom survives, it won't pose any threat to them. On the contrary, if the Taiyan kingdom's invasion is successful and their strength increases greatly, the next targets will definitely be the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom. There's a phrase in my hometown, intimately interdependent. This is the logic. Therefore, I'm certain that the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom will definitely invade the Taiyan kingdom after they find out. Even if we take 10,000 steps back and say that the commanders of the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom are all useless people, they just want to share the Aurora kingdom. They didn't expect the consequences of the Taiyan kingdom becoming stronger. The Taiyan kingdom won't sit back and do nothing. Now that the Taiyan kingdom has already taken such a desperate move, how can they allow other factions to share their food with him? not to mention the faction of the Supreme Will. At that time, the Taiyan Kingdom will help you deal with the invaders of the Titan Kingdom and the Netherbark Kingdom. Li Yuangon fell into deep thought. A moment later, he looked up at Zhou Zhou and was even more surprised. He was really a natural talent. This military perspective that jumped out of the predicament to look at the overall situation was simply born for the world of the High Continent. It was rumored that this Lord of the Blazing Sun had an extraordinary Lord talent. However, after hearing what he said just now, Li Yuangon was certain that he could still rise in this world even without his Lord talent. Apart from that, I can also add another aid to your majesty. Zhou Zhou pondered for a few seconds and said again, "What kind of help?" Li Yuangon was a little curious. "Let me keep you in suspense. However, I'm afraid my subordinates and I will have to stay at His Majesty's place for the night. When the army of the Taiyan Kingdom attacks tomorrow, please tell me their location and time and let me take a look at the main battlefield. At that time, His Majesty will naturally know my methods." Zhou Zhou smiled. He was naturally talking about the insight defection that he would refresh tomorrow. That was more than 2 million fog monster army. If this wave of insight defection came, how many subordinates would he have out of thin air? Okay. Li Yuangon agreed without hesitation. However, his curiosity did not weaken. It became even stronger. "I'll go to the main battlefield with you tomorrow." Even this king has only experienced such a huge battle that concerns the life and death of the country a few times in my life. At that time, I can see with my own eyes what your help is. You won't mind, right? Li Yuangon smiled. Sure. Zhou Zhou nodded. The insight defection caused too much commotion. It was not easy to hide, so he did not have any thoughts of hiding it. He could see it if he wanted to. In this world, it was not a disadvantage to show off more of his strength and methods. Then, the two of them chatted for a while before Li Yuangon went to prepare for the battle tomorrow and secretly transmit news to the Titan Kingdom and the Netherbark Kingdom. Zhou Zhou was also led by a maid to his residence to rest. Your Majesty. Li Yu's death. Zhou Zhou wanted to remind the other party before he left, but before he could finish, a cold glint flashed across Li Yuangon's eyes. You want to talk about the traitors in the capital, right? This king has already cleaned it up. Zhou Zhou was stunned for a moment before nodding to himself. Well, others were not stupid and would naturally think of what he could think of. He turned around and left with the maid without saying anything else. Wu Xian, Che Chi, Nazario, and the 500 white platinum tier soldiers he brought would also have their own residences in the capital of the Aurora Kingdom, in the Tianhe Palace. This was one of the top 5 palaces in the palace. Li Yuangon had arranged for Zhou Zhou to live in it. In the palace, Zhou Zhou stood in front of the crystal coffin and looked at Li Yu. After a long time, he waved his right hand and put the coffin away. Then, he came to the entrance of the hall and quietly looked at the drizzle outside. Amidst the pattering rain, Zhou Zhou gradually calmed down. This moment, a line of blood-red text notifications suddenly appeared in front of him. The final battlefield will officially begin at 6 a.m. tomorrow. All lords who are interested in participating in the final battle, please enter the battlefield on time. For more information about the final battlefield, please check the Lord Battlefield, the final battlefield option. Zhou Zhou perked up. There was finally movement in the final battlefield. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock? Zhou Zhou thought as he opened the Lord Battlefield. Then, at this moment, he saw that the final battlefield, which had been showing a grayish-white color previously, had already lit up at this moment. Moreover, strange patterns of blood and fire surrounded the words. He clicked his tongue in wonder and clicked on the final battlefield. The battlefield had yet to open. However, a rectangular blood-colored caption suddenly appeared. Zhou Zhou looked over. Prompt: please log in after 6 o'clock tomorrow. The following is a description of the specific activities in the final battlefield. 1. The final battlefield is a chaotic battlefield for lords of all races. On the final battlefield, all lords of all races enter with their true bodies. Once they die, they will not be able to revive unless they have a resurrection tool. 2. The lord can bring all the subordinates of the territory to the final battlefield. Non-territorial subordinates and items cannot be brought to the final battlefield. 3. After lords of the myriad races log into the final battlefield, they can plunder all their ranking points by killing other lords. After the end of the final battlefield, the ranking points could be calculated. After the calculation, it could be converted into his ranking on the lord battlefield. Lords of different rankings will receive a gift bag from the final battlefield after the battle ends. 4. The battlefield area of the final battlefield will gradually shrink as time passes. Lords outside the range of the final battlefield will automatically clear all their ranking points and will gradually be deprived of their vitality and die. 5. There are extremely rare items on the final battlefield that can be obtained, but all final items are guarded by fog monsters and can only be obtained by killing fog monsters. The final battlefield was divided into 2 categories. One can only be used on the final battlefield, while the other category can be brought into reality. They may be resources, equipment, cards, subjects, special building blueprints, race divine artifacts, strange items, ranking points books, and so on. 1. Zhou Zhou carefully read through the 10 activity instructions of the final battlefield. His gaze fell on the 3rd activity description. There was no doubt. This event description was the most important. As long as you kill the lords of the other races, you can plunder all the ranking points on them. And ranking points can be converted to ranking after the event ends. I want to check my ranking points, Zhou Zhou said. The next second, a text notification appeared. Your lord rank is Mythical Tier Advanced Grade, 160 points. Value of Mythical Tier Advanced Grade, 10 billion ranking points. 160 points worth, 1.6 billion ranking points. Your basic ranking points for the final battlefield are 11.6 billion yuan. Zhou Zhou looked at the astonishing number of ranking points and fell into deep thought. Therefore, if he was accidentally killed by another lord, even if none of his subordinates died and he was the only one who died, his 11.6 billion points would all belong to the other party. At that time, it would be settled in 3 days. The other party directly became a lord with 160 points as a mythical tier advanced grade, or even higher. Good God, I'm the fat sheep. At the thought of this, Zhou Zhou's face darkened. However, he also realized the meaning of the existence of the final battlefield. If the Lord battlefield is only to test the strength of the lords of the myriad races, in that case, the final battlefield is not only a test of strength, but also a test of the Lord's luck, experience, and mentality. This is a test of the Lord's ability in all aspects. It can make a lucky low-level lord stand at the top of all lords in the blink of an eye. It might also make a powerful lord lose everything in the blink of an eye, making everything he has become the growth food of other lords. What a dangerous final battlefield! Zhou Zhou frowned. In the face of the final battlefield, even though he had the mentality of wanting to fight for the strongest lord of the myriad races, he was a little afraid. After all, even if he didn't go to the final battlefield, he was still a mythical tier advanced grade lord. After the settlement, there would also be his own mythical tier advanced grade, the final battlefield gift bag. If he went, what if he was unlucky and encountered the number 1 true lord or great one lord? What if he was eliminated? Even with Carol Moali's resurrection ability, he wouldn't die. However, his ranking would also be instantly cleared to 0. The accumulation of all his previous lords on the battlefield would also disappear. If it really came to that, his heart would ache to death. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou could not help but hesitate. A moment later, he gritted his teeth. Go! There's already a huge gap between me and the other top lords of the myriad races. If I don't seize every opportunity one come across. After the original spirit race, the chaos gods race, and the dragon race grasp the power of their civilization, it will be even more impossible for me to catch up to them. When the time comes, as the Lord's struggles for supremacy develops, the gap between me and them will only grow larger and larger. In the end, my subjects and I will either die at their hands or enslaved by them. Even if there are other outcomes, I don't think it will be any better. If that's the case, then let's give it a try. Let's take a look at the final battlefield. Zhou Zhou made up his mind. However, even though he had already made up his mind to barge into the final battlefield, he knew that if he really encountered something unacceptable on the final battlefield, he would not force it. Seize all the opportunities in the final battlefield within his capabilities. This was the basic principle of all Zhou Zhou's actions, including the operation in the final battlefield. After thinking it through, Zhou Zhou calmed down. He opened the world channel and looked at what the other lords of Cerulean Planet were talking about. Not surprisingly, they were all discussing the matter of the final battlefield tomorrow. F***CK. The final battlefield? No, it's time to escape. This wonderful sense of déjà vu. I'm going to take out my camouflage uniform. Old silver coins plus Voldemort mode. Activate. To think that you guys still have the mood to joke. This is a matter of life and death. How is this a matter of life and death? You can choose not to go. If I don't go, I'll fall behind the other lords. What's the difference between that and death? Are you guys going to the final battlefield tomorrow? Go. In any case, I can enter and exit at will. It's just that I'll have time to prepare. It's not a big problem. I'll treat it as seeing the world. If I'm lucky and encounter a few heavily injured lords of other races, I'll kill them and obtain their ranking points. Then, I'll directly take off. I think so too. With the strength of my territory, it's too difficult to slowly rank up on the Lord battlefield. The other people of foreign races on the Lord battlefield are all abnormal. I'm at my limit. However, the final battlefield is different. This place doesn't just test strength, I already have a premonition that a group of old silver coins and Voldemorts will appear on the final battlefield. In any case, I don't plan to go. I'm already at the green bronze tier elementary grade. I've completed the basic goal of this event. Why should I go out and have a death wish? I don't plan to go either. There are so many opportunities in the high continent. I don't believe that without the benefits of the final battlefield, I'm weaker than the lords who participate in the final battlefield. Me too. Regardless of whether you guys are going or not, I plan to go anyway. Forget it. I'll go to the marketplace to buy some supplies first to prepare for the final battlefield tomorrow. That's true. I'll go take a look too. In the territory of the Insect Queen Lord. At this moment, the Insect Queen Lord was also reading the activity description of the final battlefield. After reading it, her half-human, half-insect body trembled in excitement. The Lord's true body will enter the final battlefield? The lords of the myriad races who can survive until now are all extraordinary. There must be a large number of lords of intermediate and high-level races among them. If I kill them, how many bloodline genes of high-level races will I obtain? My Zerg gene bank will definitely expand greatly because of this. At that time, I'll be able to nurture stronger, more capable, and more promising subordinates of the Zerg. Ha 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 ha. The final battlefield is simply a supreme treasure land prepared for me. The more the insect mother lord thought about it, the more excited it became. She looked at her territory. More than 200,000 strange-looking insects were densely covering the ground as far as the eye could see. However, they were not very strong even though there were many of them. Most of them were at the black iron and green bronze tier. White silver tier ones were rare. This was because it would take more and higher energy to create insects above white silver tier. With the level of the planet it had conquered, it could not satisfy its needs for the time being. After collecting all the resources on this planet, it's time to go to the next planet. As she thought about the final battlefield, she also thought about her future developments. The Dragon Godlord's territory. The final battlefield. What a coincidence. It's a good opportunity to test out the fallen king dragon I've just summoned from the giant dragon mystic realm. The Dragon Godlord thought. Then, he looked at a 1,000-meter-tall mountain in the distance. Actually, it wasn't a mountain peak. It was actually the spine of the fallen king dragon resting there at the moment. The appearance of the final battlefield undoubtedly ignited the flames of ambition in the hearts of countless lords. The billions of lords among the lords of the myriad races began to rub their fists in preparation for the opening of the final battlefield tomorrow. On the other side, Zhou Zhou also turned off the World Channel. Even though the lords were discussing, most of them were arguing over whether to go or not. However, it was obvious that there were far more lords who wanted to go than lords who did not. Those who could survive until now were all capable lords. Those who were capable would usually not let go of the opportunities they encountered. The final battlefield was undoubtedly a huge opportunity. After all, the lords on this battlefield were all participating with their real bodies. Furthermore, they definitely brought shocking war resources to prevent them from losing because of insufficient firepower. Under such circumstances, once they killed an enemy lord, even a weak lord could obtain a large amount of resources. Unlike the lord battlefield, after the battle, the corpse would automatically disappear. Other than the promotion energy, not even a strand of hair would fall out. In addition, he could freely log into and out of the final battlefield. Many lords would have the confidence to charge into the final battlefield. As for the danger, wasn't the high continent dangerous anyway? Lords had seen many dangers. Naturally, they would not choose to retreat just because there was danger. The final battlefield will probably be a meat grinder for the next 3 days. Zhou Zhou looked at the drizzle outside and thought. At this moment, he saw that Linger and Nong Qinglin had also sent him a message. The former asked if he wanted to participate in the final battlefield, while the latter said that he would listen to Zhou Zhou's orders. If Zhou Zhou asked him to participate in the final battlefield, he would go. Zhou Zhou thought about it and replied to Linger first, asking her if she wanted to go herself. What surprised him was that Linger actually wanted to participate in the final battlefield herself. Lord of the Blazing Sun, are you confident? Spiritual Medicine Lord, my strength has increased a lot during this period of time. I also have some opportunities. I think I might be able to give it a try. Big brother, what do you think? Lord of the Blazing Sun, then give it a try. Let me know if you need anything. Spiritual Medicine Lord, thank you. Big brother, Lord of the Blazing Sun, go and prepare. Spiritual Medicine Lord, okay. It's good to try more things out. I can't protect you all the time. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. Then, he replied to Nong Qinglin, telling him not to participate in the final battlefield. In addition, he got the other party to prepare some food and send it to Blazing Sun City. Now that the number of soldiers and subjects under his command was increasing, his need for food was also increasing. Fortunately, Nong Qinglin, the lord of a subordinate territory with the agricultural expert lord talent, had already built a large amount of farmland in his territory and produced a large amount of rice-type food. Some of these grains were purchased by their Shenyang territory, while the rest flowed into the market from Sandgold City. Due to its excellent taste and rich nutrition, it was already somewhat famous in the Aurora Kingdom. Nong Qinglin even found Zhou Zhou for this rice and asked him to give it a name. Zhou Zhou had eaten this kind of rice before. Without much thought, he named it Blazing Sun Rice. And so, the first specialty of Jiaoyang City, the Blazing Sun Rice, was born. Speaking of which, after chatting with Linger and Nong Qinglin, Zhou Zhou found Wu Xian again. Then, through the Bloodbat avatar, he told Wu Xian and Bai Yun, who was far away in Jiaoyang City, about tomorrow's the final battlefield. The three of them chatted until midnight before going to rest. The next day, 3 o'clock in the morning, Zhou Zhou woke up early. HR walked out of Tianhe Palace after washing up. He saw Wu Xian, Che Qi, and Li Yuanggan, who had recovered his youth, waiting for him. Your Majesty, Zhou Zhou said politely. The monster army of the Taiyan Kingdom has reached the Diamond Tier territory 350,000 kilometers away from the capital, Snow River City. Snow River City is currently being defended. Let's go now. Li Yuanggan went straight to the point. Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, the three of them and the monster led the soldiers to the location of the spatial teleportation array.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.